the question is, who are the few? The few is the remnant. That is the few. The few is the remnant. Isaiah 10:22, for though your people, O Yahawashai, be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. A decisive end, overflowing with righteousness. Even though Yahawashai is the sand of the sea, only a remnant shall return. That to me is something that should influence us to, and we want to be on the right side of that. Because what it's saying, not everyone who starts remains. And we see that that's what happened in the wilderness. That's what happened when Yahawashai were released from Egypt. Not everyone made it through. Many started, but only a few remained. That is a remnant. Romans 9:27.
And Yahshua cries out on behalf of Yahshua, though the number of the children of Yahshua be as the sand of the sea, the remnant shall be saved.
So this is just echoing Isaiah 10:22.
Yeah, that's exact word for word.
Yeah. And, you know, the interesting thing, how does it begin? He's crying out.
Yeah.
Why? Why is he crying out? He wants his people, his family. He wants everybody to make it through. That's not the design. Only the remnant.
You know, and this is the part, brother, this is kind of sad for me because I feel like I've done this to a degree, is yelling out to friends and family, and instead of them heeding my words, and sure, I'm probably at fault at times with how I've articulated. Maybe I'm reinterpreting the word cry as a yell. But my point is, you know, the response a lot of times, and this is what I'm learning and working through, is you get the sense that people see what we're doing and kind of define it as exclusivity. And I'm like, but y'all hear me trying to scream at y'all to get to understand this. Why then are you now telling me I'm trying to be exclusive? You see what I'm saying? And
yeah,
I think one of the brothers in one of our communities used the word Gnosticism, as if to say, you know, we have a preserved piece of knowledge that we're trying to keep secret and, you know, only sharing it with a few. But it's like, bro, we're sharing this stuff openly. Like, I don't get it, you know? So, but it's kind of, maybe it's part of what we're being told here in scripture too, is that only a remnant's going to be saved. And they're going to give all the different reasons as to why they're not going to be a part of the remnant. But that's one of the things that I've found frustrating, is in different ways I've tried to, you know, yes, Shay is right. I was definitely fire hosing it when I was first learning this stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And
we're all guilty.
And I've learned to kind of, okay, calm down, take a step back, give him space, you know, give him patience. I've improved in the way I articulate it. My angst isn't the same as far as like that fresh anger of like, man, we've been lied to, you know?
Right.
I'm sharing it. I understand it better, but yet it still feels like, and it's time. Maybe it's the seeds, you know, the seeds are being planted, but there's still like that rhetoric of, man, the stuff that y'all are on, or, you know, just that feel of like what we're doing is exclusive. But it's like, but maybe that's part of the point, is it's just for a remnant.
That's good. Hey, I actually clicked on the word, and the word crieth is a Greek word, and it means to croak this is like a Thayer's definition, right? Because it is not coming up as a Hebrew definition, so that kind of changes things, right? So it says to croak, to scream, to cry, scream, yell. So yeah, that's actually the term here on that one. My wife made a great point. Sorry, Brother Diaz. She said, to be fair, like no, regardless if you crying, screaming, yelling, however you presented it to them, if they decide in their hearts or whatever they don't want to receive it, they're not going to receive it. However we give it to them.
Thank you for that input, because that is absolutely true. Yeah, and we all know that because we see it. You know the point Thomas was making earlier. Not everyone who starts, not everyone who hears. That's on this slide. That's what's on this slide. And that's why it's a remnant, because it's not everyone. And, for us, our heart breaks because of it. But Yahweh's been true. It's the way that things are designed, that man has to decide if we are going to follow him or not. It's up to us. No matter what anyone else says or does, we have to make that decision for ourselves. So here, let's say this clearly, that many start, few remain, only the enduring finish. That's the point we were making earlier, that, man, because this is a journey, only those who endure actually finish. That's important for us to understand. Matthew 24:13, he who endures to the end shall be saved. In other words, enduring tells us something. Enduring tells us that everything will not be easy. There will be challenges. There will be opposition. There will be doubts. There will be questioning. It will not be easy. He who endures to the end shall be saved. To the end. That's the key. To the end. There is an end. So Hebrews 10:36, please.
It says, for you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the desire of Elohim, you receive the promise.
But how do you get to the promise?
This is the endurance. You got to endure, man. Got to hang in there.
Yeah, but that requires some type of strength or something, doesn't it?
Look at the previous verse.
What does it say?
It says, do not then lose your boldness, which has great reward.
But it makes sense, right? Because if we're not bold, what does that make us?
Weak. Coward.
What's the opposite of bold?
Yeah.
This is all about the fact that many start, few remain, and only the enduring finish. That's the path. So when we look at the beginning, and we look at Numbers 14, 22, and 23, for none of these men who have seen my esteem and the signs which I did in Misraim, or in Egypt, and in the wilderness, have tried me now these 10 times, and have disobeyed my voice, shall see the land of which I swore to their fathers, nor any of those who scorned me see it. I mean, he's just flat out saying, you're not going to make it. But at the same time, these are people, these are our ancestors. They saw everything and still didn't get to enter. That should make us all pause. They saw with their own eyes everything and still were unable to enter. All right, Deuteronomy 135.
Not one of these. This I believe this is Yahawah speaking, according to verse 35. It says, not one of these men of this evil generation shall see that good land of which I swore to give to your fathers.
So again, it's echoing what's in Numbers. I mean, they echo one another, right? It calls it an evil generation. Why evil?
Disobedience.
Absolutely. So Torah is the witness. Yasharal, they left Mizraim. Many flowed out of Mizraim. Many flowed out of Egypt. But when they got to the other side for the promised land, only a few entered. That pattern, that's a pattern that will repeat itself again. Here's what the prophets say. This is their witness, that there are those who are brought into the wilderness, and then a purging occurs. So Ezekiel 20:38, and I shall make you pass under the rod, and shall bring you into the bond of the covenant, and purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me. From the land where they sojourn, I bring them out, but they shall not come into the land of Yasharal. He said, I will purge out the rebels. Purging means they're separated. This is what's happening in the wilderness. So the prophets are witnessing. This is our witness from the prophets. In the wilderness, there's a separation that will occur. Okay, Zechariah 13:8-9.
It says, and it shall be throughout all the soil, declares Yahawah, that 2/3 therein are cut off and die, and 1/3 is left therein. And I shall bring the third into fire, and refine them as silver is refined, and try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I shall answer them. I shall say, this is my people, while they say, Yahawah is my Elohim.
Wow.
Yeah, this is definitely, I mean, the second Exodus. This is complementing what we just read in Ezekiel, and it's like, this isn't something that's just some kind of spiritual symbolism. This is actually going to happen.
I love that you say that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. This is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen, and he's basically telling us the entire story of how it goes down. I was actually telling Shay this the other day. You know, we had a few years ago, some of us brothers were getting together talking about, you know, let's just prepare for what's the word? Tribulation. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Like we need to start thinking about buying our own land, and you know, having our own ecosystem, and you know, all of that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, when you understand the second Exodus, is like, nah, he's actually gonna do that for us. He's gonna take us to a wilderness, you know. Yeah. But we're gonna have to be ready for the refinement, you know. Yeah. And this is speaking exactly to that. And once you understand that that's actually what's happening, it's really amazing how much of Scripture actually speaks to this moment, you know, for right. Yasharal directly. So anyway, exciting stuff.
Yeah, and that's the reason why at the very beginning of this I said it's about the context. Because if you don't understand the context, then the application of the understanding is off. And so context matters, because in both of these scriptures, what we're seeing is the wilderness is where separation happens. This is the sifting that takes place. This is where separation happens. The fact that he is going to purge rebels, that means there's somebody not standing with him, not standing for him, not following his covenant, his commands. He says he is going to purge. He's going to separate. And it's all happening in the wilderness. And this is indeed the second Exodus. The scripture never calls it a second Exodus. In fact, the scripture never calls it an Exodus, period, even in the first one. We just know that that's how it's labeled. You know, there's a book called Exodus, but this is absolutely second Exodus, because this is the wilderness. This is the wilderness journey it's talking about.
Hey, what I'm seeing in verse 9 is even though the remnant will be saved and will be gathered, I still see in verse 9 when it says, "And I shall bring them," no, it says, "And I shall bring the third into fire and refine them as silver is refined, and try them as gold is tried." So what I got out of that, even though, you know, we will make it as the remnant, we will be a part of the remnant, it's still going to be some refining. It's still going to be some things we're got to endure and go through, you know, because we haven't quite made it. We're still got to go through some things to be refined. That's what I see from, you know, the silver and then the gold and all that good stuff.
Refining is telling us something. Refining is not something that's easy. Refining requires heat, requires pressure, requires some banging and some pounding and some shaping. It's telling us something by saying refining, that it will not be easy.
I also like how he, you know, called the remnant very valuable, precious stones like silver and gold. You know what I mean? So anybody else who doesn't have that type of spirit, the silver gold standard, you got the copper, the bronze. I know I'm going beyond with it, but I just like how it was also identified as silver and gold, you know, which is some high value, you know, worth on this planet. So I kind of like that too.
Yeah, precious.
There you go.
Yeah, precious. And the scripture tells us we're precious. Yahawashai, he's also a witness. Yahawashai says it multiple ways. Narrow path, few. Sore, one remains. Virgins, half enter. It's all the same pattern. All the same pattern. Only one who endures produces fruit. And what we'll see, and you know, that's Matthew 13:23, but only one who endures produces fruit. But we see in all these parables, it's the same outcome, same pattern, period. Matthew 25:10-12.
And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding feast, and the door was shut. And later the other maidens also came, saying, "Master, Master, open up for us." But he answering said, "Truly, I say to you, I don't know you." I don't know you, bro. Wow.
Same pattern. I don't know you.
Yeah, probably because they calling him the wrong name for starters.
Well, that's part of not knowing someone, right?
Yep. You don't even know my name, bro.
Yeah.
Get out of my face.
Narrow path, broad way, few that enter. Depart from me, I never knew you. Matthew chapter 7, depart from me, I never knew you. What you just read, I never knew you. You can't come in here. So, again, to your point, knowing his name is important. His personal name is important. That's why he tells us to call him by his personal name. It's important to him. And to ignore that importance is to ignore what he desires. And so that is something that, you know, we have to be very, very conscious of, not to ignore him. Because his desires are more important than our desires. Bottom line. So, different parables, same outcome. And then even the sealed scrolls, what's known as the Apocrypha, you know, the hidden books, they're not hidden. And so I've come to just call them the sealed scrolls. They've been sealed for us, for this time, for a time such as this, to reveal to us. In this case, many are created, few shall be saved. Even outside the commonly read text, these scriptures scream loudly. The same message appears. 2 Esdras 8:3. Many are created, few shall be saved. Many are created, few shall be saved.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of room in the kingdom.
You know, well, you know, that number, you know, whatever that number is, it's still going to be a large number. Because if we are a people of the promise to Abraham, that his seed was like the sand of the sea. And, you know, if we just use the example of being cut to a third, it's still going to be many. But, you know, the sad part of that is the ones that don't make it particularly because of a choice to not be obedient. Because the choice still remains. So even the sealed scrolls, same witness, same pattern. Now you've seen the pattern. From the Torah to the prophets to Yahawashai, it's always been the same. But seeing it isn't the same as walking it. Because this is where most people stop. Watch the next video. This is where you have to decide if you'll actually finish.